All right, part two of our chapter review. We're going to do this AP Statistics Practice Test for chapter one. Again, for tomorrow, you really just have to do the free response ones. The multiple choice will be due on Wednesday, so all of it will be due on Wednesday, but focus on the free response tonight. I'm going to do it all just so we can kind of have something there. If you have any questions, please let me know after you're done with this. First one is a really simple question. How many categorical and quantitative variables do you have? In this one, you have two quantitative and one categorical. The quantitative being age and earned income, categorical being marital status. We're not going to see something like this. It's really, really simple, but kind of good to know. Number two is talking about Consumers Union measuring the gas mileage and miles per gallon of 38 vehicles from the same model year on a special test track. The pie chart provides information about the country of manufacture of the model cars. So that's all it's doing. The pie chart is in the country of manufacture. So it has five truths or five false, whatever we're trying to figure out which one is correct, and it gives us a pie chart. We'll go through each one to kind of determine which one is the true one. So it says Japanese cars get significantly lower gas mileage than cars from other countries. That's not what the pie chart is providing. It's providing just the country of manufacture. So A is wrong. U.S. cars can get significantly higher gas mileage than cars from other countries. Again, pie chart is not talking about that. It's just talking about the country of manufacture. Swedish cars can get gas mileage that are between those of Japanese and U.S. Again, same thing. No information there about gas mileage. And then D, cars from France have the lowest gas mileage. Again, we don't know that information. And E is the only correct one. It says more than half of the cars in the study were from the United States. Looking at the pie chart, it's definitely more than half from the United States. So that's number two. Number three, this is a bar graph question that kind of links to the pie chart. We're not really going to have to do a problem like this on this test, but it's kind of good to understand kind of the similarities between these two. Whenever I'm looking at this, I would look for my similarities, and Italy and France are really similar, so their bars should be similar. A, they're not similar. D, they're not similar. B and C are similar. So I kind of look at that and say, okay, B and C could work. And then I kind of look at which one has the biggest pie. US has the biggest pie. In C, US doesn't have the biggest pie. But in B, they do. So B is really the only option. And I just got to see if Sweden is a little bit bigger than Italy and France, and then Japan is a little bit bigger than Germany. And I have that here, so B is the correct answer. Again, this isn't a type of question that we're going to see. You're going to have to look at a bar graph and decipher some information from it, but not in this way. Number four, earthquake intensities are measured during using a device called a seismograph, which is designed by the most sensitive to earthquakes, which intensifies between 4 and 9 on the Richter scale. Measurements of 9 earthquakes give the following readings, where L indicates the earthquake has an intensity below 4, and H has an intensity of earthquake above 9. The median earthquake of the intensity of this sample, remember that's the middle value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to try and find the fifth value because there's 4 on either side. What I would do first is order these in lowest to highest to find that fifth value. So you can kind of do that. This would be the first value. The L would be the first value. 4.5 would be the second. 5.2 would be the third. 5.5 would be the fourth, and then 6.0 would be the fifth, which is the one that we're looking for. So B is the correct answer here. So another thing that you could do is you can plug this data into your calculator in StatEdit. Plug that into, you can have the low being something below 4 and the H being something above 9, and find the median that way by doing StatCalc 1var stats and finding it that way. Again, this isn't the right data set, but that's how I would find the median there if I did it on my calculator. Number 5, I have a setting where there's 136 students. Professor records how much money each student has in her possession during the first class of the semester. Histogram shows the data that were collected. I have all of this amount of money here. And it says the percentage of students with less than $10 in their possession. Less than $10 is closest to what? So less than $10 would be everybody that's kind of in this bar right here. And so there's 60 students in that bar. and 60 divided by 136 would be your answer, and that's 44%. So the closest to that in the answer choices is 45%. So C would be the correct answer there. Which of the following is not correct about the distribution? Histogram is right skewed. That's correct. The median is less than $20. That's also correct. If you add the number of students in between 0 and 20, you get 100 students, and there's only 136 students. The median would be less than 20, so that's correct. IQR is exactly $35. We'd have to figure that out. The IQR would be Q1 and Q3. So Q1 would be the 34th data value, and Q3 would be the 102nd data value. So the 102nd data value is here. The 34th value is here. So if I take the middle of these, this would be 5, this would be 25. The most that it could be is 30. The least that it could be is 20. So IQR is not $35. That's too wide of a range. So C would be the correct answer. This is kind of a tough problem in terms of reading a histogram, but it would be helpful for you to know how to do that. Number 7, 40 students took a stat exam having a maximum of 50 points. The score distribution is given in the following stem and leaf plot. Third quartile of the score distribution is equal to, we're going to have a question that's very similar to this. You might not need to find the third quartile, you might find something else, but you will have a stem and leaf plot, and you will have to find something from that in the 5-number summary. What I would do 100% of the time is I would plug this data into my calculator, find one var stats, and find the Q, in this case, the third quartile in there. Now, this stem and leaf plot does not have a key, which is quite concerning. It should have a key that tells you how to enter that data, but I'm going to assume that this would be 0, 2, 0, 8. So this is 2, 8, 12, 12, 14, 15. And I plug all that data in, find my third quartile using one var stats. And in this problem, you get B, 44 is the correct answer there. Number 8, the mean salary of all female workers is $35,000. The mean salary of all male workers is $41,000. What must be true about the mean salary of all workers? So this is kind of another, which one is a true statement here? And we can go through each one until we get the right one. So it must be $38,000. We don't know how many female workers or how many male workers there are, so we can't just average those two numbers together. That doesn't work that way. The mean must be larger than the median salary. That also might not be true. Again, we don't know the number of workers, female and male. It could be any number between 35,000 and 41,000. That seems to be right. The mean can't be bigger than 41 or less than 35. If we're already talking about the mean of female, mean of male. So it has to be something in between those two values. So C would be the correct answer. We don't know if it's going to be larger than 38, and it could be larger than 40. What if there were 100 male workers and 1 female worker? It could be larger than 40. That's a possibility. All right, number 9 and 10 refer to this two-way table that doesn't have totals. So it says a survey of how to study business operations varied to their size. Companies were classified as small, medium, large. Questionnaires were sent to those businesses, and we're going to see if they got a response or not, and see if that differed between the businesses. And it says, what percent of all small companies receiving questionnaires responded? So that's a conditional distribution where we have to figure out kind of the small companies and how many of those responded. So there were 200 small companies. If I add these two together, and I take 125, that's how many responded, divide that by the total, which is 200, and so you get 62.5% of the small companies responded. That's a conditional distribution. You are going to have to know how to do that. And then which of the following conclusions seems to be supported by the data? This is where we're looking for, is there an association or not? We're trying to find an answer that has something along the lines of there being association, or knowing one thing will lead us to something else. And B does that. B says small companies appear to have a higher response rate than medium or bigger companies, because this is 62.3%. These two are both less than 50%. So it seems like small businesses have a higher response rate.